Not all wrestling is created equal in MMA. Some wrestlers get knocked out, others become champions. This is the 7 levels of MMA wrestling, from basic takedowns to GOAT status. Whether you love striking or grappling, wrestling is the most dominant base in MMA. Today, we're ranking exactly how wrestling evolves from one-dimensional grapplers to the legends who built dynasties. Level 1. Pure wrestlers who can't strike. These fighters bring Olympic credentials into the cage, but the moment it stays standing, they're in trouble. Ben Askren is the perfect example, one of the best collegiate wrestlers ever. His chain grappling was elite, but his stand-up was non-existent, stiff, predictable, and when he faced world-class strikers, that or damage or adaptability. Once opponents solved the entry, the fight was over. In modern MMA, this approach is extinct. Level 2. Defensive wrestlers. These fighters use wrestling to keep the fight where they want it. Aljamain Sterling doesn't just hunt takedowns constantly, he uses wrestling for position. Stuff your shots, reverse scrambles, stay safe while striking or hunting submissions. Defensive wrestling is underrated. It's why some fighters can face Olympic level opponents and survive. But here's the limitation: it keeps you in the fight, but doesn't win it decisively. You're reacting, not dictating. Sterling was great at nullifying opponents, but not at imposing his will the way the next level does. Level 3. Offensive chain wrestlers. Now we're getting into chaos. Relentless pressure, endless cardio, wrestling as mental warfare. Nobody embodies this more than Merab Dvalishvili. He'll shoot 30-40 takedown attempts in one fight, not because everyone lands, but because the pressure breaks you. Miss the leg, low to a body lock. Stuff that, trip attempt. Defend again, back take. Even if the takedown fails, you're carrying his weight, defending constantly, and that's exhausting. Level 3 wrestlers weaponize pace, but their limitation, they often lack finishing power. They control, but don't always destroy. And speaking of control, let me know in the comments, where does Colby Covington rank on this list? Because what comes next changes everything. Level 4. MMA wrestlers with striking. This is where wrestling meets striking. Charles Oliveira isn't a traditional wrestler, but his takedown entries, clinch control, and pressure all rely on wrestling fundamentals. He blends knees, elbows, and submissions in a way that forces you to defend wrestling even when he's striking. At this level, the takedown isn't the goal. It's the threat that opens up everything else. Feints a level change, uppercut lands. Shoot halfway, then a guillotine lock. That's MMA wrestling, not pure wrestling, but wrestling that fuels chaos. Level 5. Elite scramble artists. Kamaru Usman doesn't rely on perfect doubles or singles. His strength is controlling positions in motion. Try to take him down, he reverses. Stand up, he drags you back down. He adapts mid-scramble, and that's the difference between a college wrestler and an MMA champion. People might say Usman's wrestling is better than Covington's, but that's not really the case. Usman just has better timing and cage crafts. Covington has the credentials, Usman has the application. Elite scramble artists make the cage their mat. Every clinch, every transition, every escape is part of their system. And when combined with elite striking or cardio, they become championship material. Now, it's fair to say something like Charles Oliveira should be above Usman on this list as an example. In my opinion, you can switch both sides, but the reason I put Usman a level above is because when it comes to the wrestling fundamentals, he applies that better. Yes, Charles has the most finishes in the UFC, has the most submissions in the UFC, but that really is the outcome of his jiu-jitsu. When it comes to applying the wrestling fundamentals, I do think Kamaru Usman does do a better job when it comes to the scramble, mixing up the striking and the wrestling. Now, if you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments. Level 6. Wrestling plus submission threats. Now things get scary. Ground control becomes a finishing weapon. Islam Makhachev lives here. He's not just taking you down, he's taking you to the worst place possible. Clean takedown, instant pass to dominant position. If you defend that, you give up your neck. your arm, or your back. The fear isn't the takedown necessarily, it's what happens after. Every transition leads to a submission chain. The control isn't just physical, it's technical suffocation. Another great example of this level is Khamzat Chimaev. He's arguably the best wrestler in MMA right now, and it's not necessarily because of the takedown entries, which if you're looking at is absolutely perfect. He's very quick with it and he constantly chases those takedowns, but it's also the inevitability of what happens after. He either smudges you or finishes you. Either way, it's absolutely dominant. It's almost like if he lands that takedown, which he 99% would most likely land a takedown, there's nothing else you can do aside from trying to survive for the rest of the round. Just take a look at his fight with Robert Whittaker and also his fight with DDP. He broke Robert Whittaker's teeth with a submission, but he didn't finish DDP, but it was 100% one-sided. Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev are the blueprints of level 6 wrestling. Patient, systematic, unstoppable. It's easy to watch Khamzat and say, is he really patient? Does he really wait a little bit before he goes for his takedowns? But that's not what patience means. It means picking the right spot, the right entry, and landing it at the right time. Islam's striking exists to funnel you into his world. One jab, one feint, suddenly you're on the back with no way out. This is championship level MMA wrestling. The mat becomes a trap. Now, there's always been a debate between Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov on who is the better fighter, and I think it does come into how they mix up their grappling with their striking. The question is, when you compare both fighters, is it a hot take to say Islam Makhachev in his prime is a better grappler than Khabib Nurmagomedov in his prime? And we're talking about pure grappling. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Speaking of Khabib Nurmagomedov, we transition to level 7, complete game changers. The ones who didn't just wrestle, they redefined MMA itself. Khabib Nurmagomedov built a system of pressure, control, posture, ground strikes, positional suffocation, aka smash. He turned wrestling into dominations, not decision making. I mean, 29-0 is an incredible record. Whether or not you want to say things like, yeah, he fought cans most of his career, 29-0 is still impressive. He never bled in the octagon, never lost a round in his prime, and that just goes to show you how dominant he is when it comes to instilling his game plan to the fight, and also how good he is defensive wise and how decent he was when he came to the striking, because he did mix it up. His wrestling wasn't about takedowns, it was about inevitability. You knew what was coming, everyone knew, and nobody could stop it. Georges St-Pierre did this with his striking based wrestling, using timing and distance to dictate when and how fights happened. Daniel Cormier did this at heavyweight, ragdolling Olympic caliber wrestlers while throwing knockout power. At level 7, wrestling isn't defense or offense, it's fight control. It dictates tempo, distance, striking, and everything. These fighters don't just use wrestling to win rounds, they use it to end careers. Level 7 wrestlers make the sport evolve. They turn wrestling from a tool into an art form. Where does your favorite fighter land? Are they a chain wrestler like Merab, a submission threat like Islam, or have they reached the rare air, the Khabib and GSP level, where wrestling becomes destiny? If you've reached this part of the video, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, as I post these type of videos every week. And also, if you're interested in seeing the 7 levels of MMA skill and the 7 levels of MMA fighter, go ahead and click on the videos on the screen after this. I'll see you in the next one.